I think we're looking again at a lost technology. And it was this ancient apocalypse 12,800 years ago that wiped that from the human memory banks.
Across human history and cultures, the story of human civilization has been told and passed down as legends and myths. Stories of lost cities, underwater cities, elves, fairies, and aliens abound. While scientists quickly dismiss all these as fables, Graham Hancock demands that we take a longer look at these stories. According to him, human civilization is much older than we have been led to believe, and we might have had a helping hand from some extraterrestrial beings. And now they are coming back. Who is Graham Hancock? How old is the human civilization? And is it true that aliens helped build human civilization? Join us in this video as we look into Graham Hancock's latest claims as he breaks his silence on the recent UFO sightings. In every profession, there seems to be that dissenting voice of reason, or hubris depending on who you ask, that challenges what is seen as normal and obtainable. These voices challenge the status quo, push the border of accepted and popular thinking, and force us to think in entirely new ways and see things differently. Graham Hancock is one such person. Over the years, Hancock has promoted an archaeological and origins of civilization theory that contradicts what is scientifically accepted. As a result, his work has been described as pseudoscience and unfounded speculation. But are they? Hancock has postulated over the years that there was an advanced Ice Age civilization that formed the basis of what we know today as human civilization and origins. He believes that this civilization was destroyed in a cataclysm, and that only a few members survived. These survivors then passed on their knowledge to the hunter-gatherers, who formed the basis of the earliest known civilizations of ancient Egypt, Mesopotamia, and Mesoamerica. Hancock then posits that the advanced nature of ancient human civilizations suggests the involvement of certain non-human beings. He argues that across different cultures and time periods, humans have had stories of interaction and communication with non-human beings, albeit under different names. While some have been known and regarded as mythical creatures such as elves, fairies, or nymphs, Hancock postulates that these could just as easily be what are now popularly referred to as aliens. Before we discuss his ideas further, who is Graham Hancock? Graham Hancock was born Graham Bruce Hancock on the 2nd of August 1950 in Edinburgh, Scotland. Although born in the UK, he moved with his parents to India at the age of 3, where his father worked as a surgeon. He later returned to the UK, where he graduated from Durham University in 1973 with a degree in sociology. He went on to work as a journalist, writing for a number of British newspapers and magazines on subjects such as international development, which formed the basis of his first 3 books. For Hancock, the publication of his book The Sign and the Seal in 1992 marked a shift away from being an investigative journalist working from a sociological perspective. In this book, he turned his attention to speculative accounts of human prehistory and ancient civilizations. He continued to develop his ideas in his later books, of which The Fingerprints of the Gods and Magicians of the Gods are the most notable. His unique perspective has also been the subject of several films, including Netflix's 2022 series Ancient Apocalypse. Despite this seemingly widespread acclaim for what he has to say, over time he has been rejected by the scientific and archaeological community as a fraud. Many reviews of his interpretations of archaeological evidence and historical documents have identified his claims as a form of pseudo-archaeology or pseudo-history. His work has been accused of confirmation bias, which appears to support preconceived conclusions by ignoring context, cherry-picking or misinterpreting evidence, and withholding critical counter-data. He is seen as someone who makes up his mind before being exposed to the data. As a result, his work has not been subjected to scientific peer review or published in academic journals. Hancock believes that archaeologists are all in a conspiracy to hide the truth about the origins of human civilization, leading to the popular postulation that the earliest known civilizations arose independently. He proposed that there was an advanced civilization during the last ice age which was destroyed in a natural cataclysm. The few survivors then traveled around the world, introducing agriculture, monumental architecture, and astronomy to hunter-gatherers, giving rise to civilizations such as ancient Egypt, Mesopotamia, and Mesoamerica. To support his claims, Hancock argues that the evidence for this theory can be found in ancient monuments such as the Great Pyramids of Egypt and myths such as the Lost City of Atlantis. He dates the origin of these monuments much further back in time than scientists and archaeologists claim. In doing so, Hancock argues that what we think of as the earliest civilization in human history came from an earlier one. As expected, these claims and approaches to archaeology have not been well received by the scientific community. A well-known archaeologist, Garrett G. Fagan, rejects Hancock's claims in the book Archaeological Fantasies, where he considers Hancock's claims and methods to be pseudo-archaeology. Fagan points out that pseudo-archaeologists cherry-pick evidence, misrepresent known facts, and do not provide enough context for whatever archaeological information or fact they present. For example, Hancock claims that the best recent evidence suggests that large regions of Antarctica may have been ICF-free until about 6,000 years ago, referring to the Per-Ray map. And Hapgood's work from the 1960s, according to Fagan, this claim is entirely invalid as it ignores the fact that the extensive studies of the Antarctic ice sheet by George H. Denton, published in 1981, showed the ice to be hundreds of thousands of years old. Also, in previous conversations, Hancock has presented the ancient Bolivian city of Tiwanaku as a mysterious site about which very little is known. He also claimed that minimal archaeology had been done over the years, with an origin of close to 177,000 years ago. However, this has been refuted. It is clear that prior to when Hancock made these statements, dozens of studies had been published, major excavations had been conducted, and the site had been radiocarbon dated by 3 sets of samples to around 1500 BC. The question that jumps at you is, why does Graham Hancock need to date certain ancient monuments or cities farther back than scientists do? Or, to reverse this question, we would ask, why do scientists and archaeologists refute the idea that an older Ice Age civilization is responsible for the origins of human civilizations? The answer is simple. To accept that there was an ancient, advanced Ice Age civilization, you would need to accept the existence of non-human beings or extraterrestrial beings, popularly known as aliens. This seems to be at cross paths with the empirical nature of science, where unless you can measure and replicate it, it is not real. This, however, is not an issue for Hancock, as he believes in the existence of these non-human beings who, according to many myths and legends, helped build the first human civilization. Throughout Hancock's work, there is an attempt to link this newly discovered ancient civilization to some otherworldly origin or theme. As mentioned above, this attempt has always been met with intense criticism and criticism from the scientific community. One of the many recurring themes in several of Hancock's works is an exposition of Robert Bauval's Orion correlation theory, known as the OCT. The Orion correlation theory posits that the relative positions of the 3 largest pyramids of the Giza pyramid complex were chosen by the builders to reflect the 3 stars of Orion's belt in the constellation of Orion. According to this theory, the pyramids are aligned with the cardinal points to within a fraction of a degree. However, according to astronomer Tony Farrell, they are misaligned with Orion's belt by more than 5 degrees. By attempting to link the pyramids to Orion, there is a subtle and not too loud hint of extraterrestrial influence. It is well known that in ancient Mesopotamian and Egyptian cultures, the stars were seen as supernatural beings. There are also many stories of certain beings coming down from the heavens to help with human activities and civilization. While the earliest civilizations did not call them aliens, which is a much more recent word, they did see them as outsiders, beings who came from beyond the stars to help. This idea is also developed in Hancock's 1996 book, co-authored with Robert Bauval. In the book entitled The Message of the Sphinx, A Quest for the Hidden Legacy of Mankind, the 2 men argue that the creation of the Sphinx and the pyramids took place as early as 10,000 BC. Using astronomical data based on the idea that the pyramids at Giza contain a secret message, the book begins with the hypothesis of the Sphinx's water erosion. This hypothesis suggests that deep erosion patterns on the flanks of the Sphinx were caused by heavy rainfall over thousands of years. This fits perfectly with Hancock's approach of dating ancient monuments further back in time than scientists agree on. The authors go on to suggest, using computer simulations of the sky, that the pyramids representing the three stars of Orion's belt, along with their associated causeways and alignments, form a record in stone of the celestial alignment at the vernal equinox in about 10,000 BC. They believe that this moment represents Zep Tepi, the first time, often referred to in the hieroglyphic record. They claim that the initiation rituals of the Egyptian pharaohs replicated on Earth the sun's journey through the stars in that distant era, and they suggest that the Hall of Records of a lost civilization could be located by treating the Giza Plateau as a template for the same ancient skies. All this has been rejected and dismissed by many scientists, and one wonders why. This conundrum is similar to the popular Fermi paradox, where the physicist Enrico Fermi asked, "If life is so common, why haven't we seen it?" If the universe is massive and gigantic, why should scientists be close to the idea of aliens? As incredible as our sun is, it is not special. It may be the center of our solar system, bringing life and sustenance to the planets, but it is one of many billions of others. Scientists say it is a very ordinary star, one of an estimated 100 million to 400 billion in the Milky Way galaxy alone. And the Milky Way itself is just one galaxy out of hundreds of billions or perhaps trillions in the observable universe. And while we claim that Earth is the only planet suitable for life, it is quite possible that the billions of stars in our galaxy, the Milky Way, could be orbited by planets with similarly ideal conditions for life. And if we go further out into space, there could be quintillions of potentially habitable planets, or even a sextillion, which is more than the estimated grains of sand on all the Earth's beaches. All of which makes it all the more amusing to find scientists pushing back against the idea of extraterrestrial beings and life. Since Nicholas Copernicus suggested nearly 500 years ago that the Earth was not the center of the universe, much of our scientific knowledge about the universe has confirmed how tiny and insignificant our backyard is in the grand scheme of things. According to Carl Sagan, we live on a mote of dust suspended in a ray of sunlight. This means that in all the vastness of space and time, there is every possibility that other ordinary beings exist on other insignificant motes. This idea has been taken up by astrophysicist Avi Loeb in his amazing new book, Extraterrestrial: The First Signs of Intelligent Life Beyond Earth. Loeb, a professor at Harvard, argues that the absence of evidence for life elsewhere is not evidence that it does not exist. This logic is similar to the scenario we have with our keys when we are about to leave the house. We often find it almost impossible to find our keys when we are in a hurry. This is not, of course, because the keys do not exist, but because we search for them haphazardly. According to Loeb, the search for extraterrestrial life has never been more than a curiosity for the vast majority of scientists. For them, it is a subject worthy of, at best, cursory interest and, at worst, outright derision. While scientists may disagree about the existence of aliens or extraterrestrial beings, the general attitude towards the idea may be changing. In the past few years, there has been a flurry of new interest in the search for aliens, with tech billionaires funding novel efforts to scan the heavens for evidence of life. Also, after decades of giving the subject a short nod, NASA recently joined the search party. Avi Loeb is a former chair of Harvard's Department of Astronomy and the director of its Black Hole Initiative and its Institute for Theory and Computation. He spent much of his career studying the early universe and black holes. But in the past few years, he has become best known for his eccentric analysis of a cosmic mystery that unfolded over 11 days in 2017. In October 2017, astronomers were startled to find a strange object in our solar system. A telescope in Maui captured an exotic speck speeding across the sky, tagged an interstellar object. The reddish object was shaped like a cigar or a pancake, which is different from other celestial bodies we are used to seeing in our system, whether comet, meteors, or asteroids. Given the name Oumuamua, which translates as a messenger from afar arriving first, the astronomical community quickly arrived at a consensus that it was some kind of comet, asteroid, or other body of natural origin. The interstellar object of unknown origins had a weird, boomerang-shaped trajectory that astronomers call a hyperbolic orbit, unlike anything we had ever seen in previous celestial bodies. During its brief visit, the rock came very close to Earth, coming within 15 million miles before disappearing a few weeks after its discovery. While the astronomical community claimed it was some kind of comet, asteroid, or other body of natural origin, Loeb disagrees. The simplest explanation, he says, is that Oumuamua was created by an intelligent civilization that is not of this Earth. The object's size, shape, luminosity, and most importantly, its unexpected orbit around the Sun suggested something like a light sail. A light sail is a large, thin, reflective object that could propel a vehicle using starlight in the same way that a sailboat is propelled by the wind. This was an area Loeb was familiar with. Before Oumuamua was discovered, he was working on a plan to use a laser-powered light sail to send a tiny probe to Alpha Centauri, a star system about 4 light-years from our Sun. According to the designs, the light sail could reach speeds of up to 100 million miles per hour and reach Alpha Centauri in about 20 years. Loeb is puzzled not so much by Oumuamua's origins, but by the scientific community's unusual close-mindedness on the subject. He wonders how they cannot entertain the idea that an unusual object could be of extraterrestrial origin. The same can be said of NASA, which, after a single year of funding in 1992, decided against searching for extraterrestrial life in the universe. They came around in 2022, when the space agency funded an effort by Loeb and several colleagues to look for technosignatures of life on other planets. These technosignatures refer to things that indicate the presence of the use of technology elsewhere in the cosmos. This could be the presence of industrial pollutants, or a concentration of bright light, similar to what we see in our densest cities. Advances in science and technology have also stimulated renewed interest in the search for life. The first confirmed exoplanet, a planet outside our solar system, was found in 1995. But it was the launch of the Kepler Space Telescope in 2009 that really accelerated the search. Researchers have cataloged nearly 4,370 exoplanets, and astronomers are eagerly awaiting the discoveries of distant worlds that NASA's James Webb Space Telescope promises. As well as a lack of resources, Loeb says the search for aliens has been hampered by risk aversion and groupthink. Young scientists rarely push boundaries because they risk making mistakes, and mistakes don't advance careers. As an astrophysicist, Loeb claims that many of the most fashionable research topics in physics, apart from supersymmetry and ideas like string theory and multiverses, have little experimental support. While Loeb calls for a search for aliens in the universe, Hancock is more explicit in his argument that they have been here all along. For Hancock, aliens and extraterrestrial beings are not something we design spaceships and expensive machines to find. All we have to do is open our eyes and see that they have been here all along. The recent sightings of UFOs and alien abductions are not the first time in the history of human civilization that we have made contact with them. They are simply an increase in the frequency of their sightings. In an earlier interview, Hancock predicted that 2023 was going to be a year of many returns and unveilings, where many things that have been hidden would be made very plain and obvious. These recent US UFO sightings are the clearest fulfillment of that prophecy, as there have been more alien and UFO sightings this year alone than any other year in human history. Like Bob Lazar, a world-famous expert and authority on all things UFO and alien, would say humans have had contact and communication with these beings for thousands of years. The fact that life exists here on Earth is enough compelling evidence to suspect that life exists elsewhere in the universe. Anything that would cause us to think otherwise is nothing else than high-grade hubris and Homo sapiens privilege that think we're special. Thank you for watching another episode of Voyager. While you are still here, click on the silent video on your screen to see more mind-blowing videos like this one.